Hello everyone, it's been a while since my last video, so I figured I'd record a video today. This is more geared towards complete beginners. Today we're going to be exploring the design tab in Bubble. We will be recreating the Facebook UI while I teach you some of the elements that you can use in the design tab. With that being said, I would really appreciate if you follow my channel and make sure that you like this video, share it with anybody that might be interested in learning, and we will get started now. The first thing I would like to show you is the dashboard, not the dashboard, but the blank page that you get after you create your app. If you double click on it, you can change the name of your app. So it's going to be demo project. And biggest thing that you have here is whether or not this is you're creating a page that is specific for a mobile version. We're not going to do that. I'm going to teach you about responsive design in future videos, but if you were to create one, that will go there. Type of content, I typically leave it empty. Then you have the background style, so you can have a flat color, a gradient, an image. So you have an image there, it's quite a small image. Or you can have a video as a background. For now we're going to leave it as a flat color. It's going to be a little bit grayish. And these are some of the SEO features that you can use at the very beginning. So here you can have the title for the SEO or Facebook. That's when you share a link. I don't know if you notice on Facebook that I have a title for an article or the page. That's what it is, and the description is the meta description. And then this is the image that appears when you share the link on Facebook. Then here you have the layout. Typically I set my pages to columns because I will show you why in a second, but it's the most common thing that you will do. And conditional, we will talk about conditionals later, but this is if this happened then do this, or if that other thing happened do that. That's basically what it means. So rather than starting with the visual elements, today we're going to be starting with the containers, and the reason why is because you will want to set the containers in the page before anything else. So here you have Facebook, the first container, which is up here. This is a container, the header. So we will set a container here for the header. We're going to leave the type of content empty, and we have nothing. And we will go to layout. This is a row. Basically a row means that is one next to the other. A column means that there is something on top of the other. So basically the Facebook layout is a column for the main page. So you have the header, and under the header you have this other group right here. This is a group, so that's a column. Then for this second group you have a row, because you have this column, this middle column, and this other column here in the right. Now here in the left, this is a column, this is another column, and this is the third column. And here this is a row, because you have side by side, side by side, side by side. So these are rows. With that being said, we will go back here. So we set it to be a row, and the page is already a column. So column, row. Typically you will have your elements that will come at a fixed width. I personally uncheck this and delete the width here, so it make it responsive. And I will show you later on how it looks, but basically you're going to see what I'm talking about. Now we're going to change the background style. So background style, just like the background style here, you can apply color, gradient, image or video. So this is going to be a flat color and it's going to be white, which is white here. For the next one, we're going to come here, Facebook, and we're going to download some assets here. Oh, Facebook is smarter than that. No biggie. We're going to search for the Facebook logo. Of course, Facebook are smarter than I thought, but it's not going to stop us. So now that we have that, we're going to set our second group, and this is going to be a row, because again, side by side, right? So we're going to stretch it out, delete the minimum width, and that's all we're doing there. And now we're going to set up 3 groups inside. So first one, and we're going to copy and paste them. So this one is going to be a column, and another column, 3 columns. And now these ones we're going to leave them fixed width. Now the reason why is because we're going to use percentage. So this is going to be about 12%, and the last one would be again about 12%. And now this one is going to be as big as it needs to be. Actually, we're going to make that a little bit bigger, about 16% maybe, 20, 22. And we're building live, so you know, stuff like this happen all the time. You're just trying to figure out. Oops. All right, so for the next step, we're going to start building the sidebar menu. So this menu right here, and right here again, we're going to add a group about this big, that tall. It's going to be a row. It's going to be as big as it needs to be, and inside we'll have image. It will have a test, and we're going to center them. So this vertical alignment appears only in rows, and basically what it does is that it makes sure that this is in the middle. For test, I like to go back to the test option, and we will cover test in a few minutes, but I like to center vertically. And for images, the roundness of an image, we're going to make a perfect circle, so it's going to be 100. With that being said, while we're not doing the database today, we're not talking about that. We are going to be creating some data fields here for the user. So first one is going to be first name, and this is going to be a test type. If you want to know more about this, just make sure you tune in next week for the data type and profile image. And this is going to be an image type. So this is going to be, we're going to keep the aspect ratio. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And we're going to add current user profile image. That's what it's going to be. Now, let's focus on groups for a second, which is what we started talking about. So for the groups, again, you have the container layout, either row, column. You can assign to parents, so you can have an element on top of another element. For some reason it's not working. But you can have elements on top of other elements, and that's where you can have like the close button on top of a picture or stuff like that. That's basically what it does. On the container element, again, you can have everything lined up to the top, to the middle, to the bottom, in as close to the center as possible, or spread out. So if I were to have two elements, one would be at the top, one would be at the very bottom, as you can see right here. Now, if I were to click this one, the space around, so that will be with the same space in between. Now for this case, we're going to keep it at the top. And then the next is you can apply gaps in between. So I typically do it in multiples of 4 or 8. Some people say 8 is the best. Sometimes some people say 4. I like 4. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, and so on and so forth. Now, when you load the page, if you want an element to appear on the screen as soon as the page loads, you want to keep this check. If you want something to be hidden and have it reappear after you click a button or whatever the case might be, then you want this unchecked, and you want it to collapse when hidden. With that being said, this is going to appear as when we load the page, so we're going to keep a check. We already talked about this, the vertical alignment. Now this portion, rather than dragging and moving it somewhere else, as you can see, it goes back because it didn't find another space to go to. It just went outside the group. What you can do is you can move it by clicking next. As you can see, it moves to the next space. So it shifts the one next to it to the left, and it moves that one to the middle and then to the end. Again, we talk about the width, so it can be covering the screen, or it can be a percentage, or it can be an amount of pixels. It's up to you. And the height, it works the same thing. It can be a percentage, or it can be an amount of pixels. Now, margins and padding, and I will explain this by showing you what I mean here. So margin, what it does is it pushes the whole element, the amount of pixels that you add. For example, on the left, as we are adding pixels, you see that there is a gap in between the end of the page or the next element and the element that I am applying the margin to. It can be applied to the left, to the right, to the top, to the bottom. It can be applied to all 4 corners. Now, the padding is a little bit different. So, while the margin pushes the element away from the next element, the padding, what it does is it creates a space inside the element that you're applying it to. So, for example, as you can see, probably better seeing in white. As you can see here, the gray is creating a space inside the element that is pushing all other elements inside that element away from the edge, basically. You will want to use padding and margin in your design. It just make it look more professional, make it look better. As you can see here, there is a margin here and a padding. So this gap, in between the end of the page and the gray out area, that's the margin. And now from the beginning of the element to the image, that's padding. As you can see, Facebook use it, most websites use it. Now that you're seeing this, now you're going to see it everywhere. Now, with that being said, if you see here in this pose, there is padding applying here in between the logo and the edge, but there's no padding in the picture. You can apply it down to groups level, to embedded group level. With that being said, it's always a good idea to apply padding to your designs. Again, I do it in multiples of 4. All right, going back to this, we talk about padding, margin, appearance. We talk about most of it. Okay, boulders. The roundest, I will show you. So you see this corner right here that is a little bit round. That's about a 10 piece of roundness. If you want a more round, it's going to be 20, but you can also just type in whatever you want, and this is going to make a circle as long as so 50 pixels by 50 pixels, and that will make a perfect circle if it's not for this. Background star flicker. As you can see, that's a perfect circle. We should be back. Yep. So you can change it as you wish. There, we're going to leave it 0 because that's not even going to be seen. Now, with that being said, the interior ones, they're going to be set to 10-ish. And the margin and the padding here is going to be about 8. And this is going to be as big as it needs to be, and it should go back up, and there will be a margin in between these two, so they are not so close together. Now, with that being said, now we will talk about adding dynamic data versus static data. What's the difference? Well, dynamic data is data that changes based on circumstances. So for example, your name might be Jason, my name is Jesus. So when you see in your app, when you open your app, it might say hello Jason for you. For me, it will say hello Jesus. So that's dynamic data. It changes based on circumstances. Now, static data is data that will never change. So the word hello is static. It doesn't change. What changed is the name, actually. So you have hello Jason, and I have hello Jesus. Hello is static, didn't change. Jesus or Jason or first name, in this case, current user first name, is dynamic. That will change. Now, how do you create those? Well, it's really easy. If you click and type, that will create static data. Now, here there is, I wish I, yep. Here there is a button that says insert dynamic data. If you click that, oops, insert dynamic data, you will have a whole lot of ways that you can add data. With that being said, we will do the most simple one, and as you progress, you are going to learn how to use the other ones. But the first one, the one we're going to be using is current user. Remember when we created the first name field in the database? This is how we're going to use it. So first name, hello, and my name is Jesus, right? So we're going to go to the database and we're going to create a new entry. Jesus Vasquez, that's my name, so we have it there. And we're going to create a test account. We don't need to see that every time. And we're going to run as that. And we're going to be able to see that we have an image and we have hello Jesus. Now if we want to do it like Facebook, it doesn't have any static data there, so we will add current user last name. Maybe we can add a little bit more margin in between, and we're going to see, yep, it looks much better. This needs to be a little bit bigger. Now, when you add images to your project, you will have some different options. Again, you can use dynamic data for images, but you can only add images there, of course. You can have alternative tag, or you can use dynamic data if you have alternative tag data saved in your database. And you can also add placeholders here for your designs. Now, with that being said, again, round this, you can set it up to 100 and you can create boulders around it. As you can see, there is a boulder now. I don't like boulders, so I never add boulders. But to each their own. You can create shadow styles, so as you can see, look kind of 3D. So there is a shadow here. You can also do that. So there are quite a few things that you can do to enhance the design. Now in the layout, again, you get both check marks. You can align it. You can make it go next or make it last. Now the one that I want you to focus on is on the keep the aspect ratio. So if you want a picture to be on a perfect circle or a perfect square, or you want it to always have the same measurements, you want to click the keep aspect ratio first. So in this case, I have a 1:1 because I want a perfect circle, but I could very well go 350 pixels wide by 200 tall. And now we make a rectangle. And every picture I add, doesn't matter the measurements for that picture, it will adjust to this. Now we want a perfect circle, so we will leave it like that. Now the next part is going to be seeing how making this effect where when you hover is going to turn a little bit grayish. So we're going to go back to Facebook here, and we're going to get some data from Facebook. Pick a color, of course. So that's the color. We're going to go back to, I don't even know why it's Safari for this, but so this is going to be menu item number 1. So when menu item number 1 is hovered, I want you to change the color. So I want you to change the background style to flat color, and the color for that background style would be this. So let's go to our demo project and take a look. And as you can see, yes, it does in fact add the hover effect. Yep. And yep. Now we could do a few things here to make it a little bit nicer. So now the tool that I'm using here for the colors, it does a whole lot more. It's called Hoverify. So what we're going to do is we're going to inspect this, and we're going to see the font size is 15. So we're going to leave at 16 since it's different fonts. It's a little bit bigger. It's not. Now for test, I forgot to mention that you have most of the same functions that you can use on Microsoft Word. So you can line test, change the size, change the boldness, change the font. You have like 1,000, probably around 1,000 fonts here. Make it bold, italic, underline, change the color, the space in between the words, or I should say between the characters, change the size between the lines. So everything is there for you to make it look nice. Also, you can change the tag, make it H1, H2, H3, so for better SEO. You can recognize links and emails, and you can also use BB code here. With that being said, this is ready to go. So what we would want to do is we're going to install we're going to start plugging. Actually, we're going to start a few plugins that I use. I encourage you to use these plugins, but it's personal preference. The first one is going to be the API connector that allows us to communicate with other apps using the API. Second one is going to be Google Material Icons. I love using Google Material Icons for my icon needs. And lastly, we are going to install, actually, that's all we're going to install for now. So now that we have the Google Material Icons there, we will have it here under Visual Elements. It wasn't there before. So what we want to do is we want to Control-C, copy, Control-V, paste. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're going to replace this. So if you right click on any element, it's going to change, it's going to show you menu option. So right click, menu option, so you can edit it, and it will open up on the editor for that specific element. You can delete it, of course it's going to delete it. Now we're going to replace the element type here, and it's going to be material icon. So we're going to click replace. Now what we want to do is we want to add the silhouette, the group, and fits, marketplace, and wash. So this is the first one, and we're going to make it blue. I'm going to run through this really fast. Actually, I got a better one. You can also copy elements and paste them. So that allows you to speed up the process. Maybe unnecessary, but actually make it a little bit easier. So this one is going to be Close enough. We can change it later. Now, if you have questions like on how to color one, you can go to fonts.google.com, click on icons, type the word that you want, and find the icon that you need. There's nothing like the Facebook feed icon that I can find there. So we're going to use, let's see, dynamic feed. Good enough. Sometimes you have to test different works. So you got storefronts. And for the other one, probably video is good enough. And this one we're going to delete it, and we will talk about that in a moment. And now we're going to take a look at how it's going so far. It's looking okay. So now for the first one, we're going to clear the expressions. So it's going to be friends. Probably a little bit faster if we just delete this. And just add new ones. Groups, feeds, marketplace, and lastly we have watch. And we're going to add a shape to it at the bottom just to make it a little bit nicer. This would be about 90%. 2 pixels, that should be fine. Center in the middle. About 4 pixels margin. And this is going to be oops. Actually, we're going to pick gray. Maybe not that. Maybe 1 piece. Yep, looks much better. And now we're going to change these numbers. So this is the second one. Pretty sure you can get much more creative than me on the names. To change the name, you just click and type. Not rocket science, definitely not rocket science. 5th. And we can go back and style all of this later on. And why are we changing this? You're going to see here in a second. But here, as you can see, everything is where it needs to be. So we can go back and hover over each one of them, and it works perfectly. Now down here we're going to create a group, a small group, perfect square. It doesn't matter what you end up selecting. Just make sure it's fits height. And now we're going to add an icon there. The icon is much bigger than the group, so I think this one was open. So let's see. So not drop down, but expand more. And now we're going to add here it would say see more. So now, as you can see, I'm going to change the size to all of these just to make sure they look nice. The roundness would be 0 for each one of them. I forgot about that. We don't want them to be round. No need for that. And of course you can type. I'm just too lazy to do that. Being completely transparent. And as you can see now, it looks much better. With that being said, that's all we're doing for this sidebar. Now the next sidebar will have actually this. Okay, so all of them will have 24 padding at the top, so they're not super close to the what is it called, to the header. Now right here, this is sponsor, and we're going to get the color. Click the wrong button. So going back, we're going to change the color. Listen, like, probably putting too much work into this, but the biggest thing is that we want to make sure that it looks nice, you know. Now we're going to add repeating group. Now repeating groups is a little bit different than groups, in a matter that it's going to repeat the same thing from one to the other. So this is a small repeating group. So it's only 2 rows, 1 column, and it display ads. So we're going to do just that. So 2 rows, 1 column, and it's going to display ads. So we're going to create a data type ads. So it's going to be the image, title, and description. So the content will be ads because that's what we want to display. Now, this one have something a little bit different than the group, and is that for the data source, you will want to do a search for. So we want to search ads, and we're not creating an algorithm for ads. So there is a whole lot more that goes into that. So please know that we're not creating an algorithm for that. We're just creating the visual aspect of it, the user interface and the user interface. So we're not going to add any constraints here. So it's going to be ads, Now, with that being said, we're going to add an image here. And we want to set this to be a row. So, apologize. First thing we want to do is we want to add a group that would cover the whole thing. So about 90 pixels is fine. Now, inside that, we want to add an image that would be now here ads, and this is going to be the current cell ad because that's what we want to display. Now here we want to add a parent group add image because that's what we want to display. And then we want to add another group here to the side that is going to be a column. So as you can see here, this is the image, and then you have a column here. You have the title, and it's not a description, it's a link. So we're going to change that just because. And this is a column that goes all the way out and all the way down. So the first thing we want to add is this is ads again, parent group ads. If you don't do this, the data will not come through and it will be a nightmare. You will be troubleshooting for probably a while and you will hate Bubble and you will say this doesn't work. Well, guess what? You didn't follow the process. Now for the first one, it's going to be the title, and then for the second one, we're going to add the link, and the link is the parent group ads link. Now, that being said, the link offers you certain other characteristics that are not offered in the test. Number one, dark gray for crawlers. When the crawler from Google, Bing, or whichever other search engine you're trying to rank for, when they come through, they are able to click through that and get make it a little bit easier. Now you get the opportunity to link to other internal pages or external URLs. So we're going to do external URL, and it's going to be dynamic data. So it's going to be the parent group add link. Again, we're going to expand it just like always, just to make sure. Now here we want to apply some spacing between, and we also want to apply some spacing in between. So we're going to make a perfect square. As you can see, there is around the corners, so we're going to make it the corners to be 10, and we're going to add some padding to this group just to make sure that it's looking nice. And we're going to come to Facebook and we're going to get some. Learn how to build your own apps. So we're going to create some data to visualize. And here's the link for my own social media template. So if you don't want to go through all of this, I would encourage you to go and check out my template. Societal Labs is a template that allows you to build your own social media website in minutes. Everything is done for you. And you can visit societallab.com and check it out. One thing that we forgot to do, we want to remove this, and we want to remove borders. So this is a back and forth. So you're going to always have to go back and fix certain things. Probably about 12. You want to span it all the way down to the end. And we also want to make sure that all the elements are contained to the middle. We want to make this a little bit smaller. So it's not occupying that much space. Write this a little bit bigger. Just more things here and there, like we're not doing a whole lot of stuff right now. And maybe this is not bow, so we got probably like a 600 there. What do you say? The image is much bigger. That's what you say. Just a little bit more. Yep. And by the way, nocode.mba is a great resource. I love their tutorials. I love their community. If you want a community, we don't do community. We have a Facebook group, but being honest, it's mostly dead, and I just don't have the time to revive it. Now, if you ask a question on my Facebook group, I will definitely answer it for you. The Facebook group is called Hustling Labs. But I just don't have the time to create content for the group. With that being said, No Code MBA is a great resource. You should definitely check them out. Now, this is what we have so far. We have the left sidebar. We have the top of the right sidebar. We're going to create one more thing. So, and that is when the group adds is hover, we want to change the color. We want to come here and grab this color, go back, paste it, so we're following the same design. Now when you hover, you also want it to be around the corners. Those are the small details that sometimes developers don't really care about, but people see it. So as you can see, you can click, you go to the Sidebar Labs. This is the template that I built. You have a whole lot of features. So messaging, user profiles, post sharing, stories, dark mode, timeline, so everything you need. Definitely check it out. But this is what we have so far built. Now, with that being said, there is only one more thing that we're going to build for this video, and that is going to be this area right here. So your patient profiles, now something else you can do is you can click on two elements by clicking shift and clicking on two elements, right click, and you can group them in any type of container. In this case, this is going to be a group container. So we're going to change the name. Sponsor container group, and we're going to copy this, paste it, and this is going to be page and profile. So pages and profiles container group. And now here we're going to change it from actually we're going to create another data type that is going to be Facebook pages. The admin is going to be an user, so typically you have one admin. So page name, it's going to be test, and page description, it's going to be test again, and page icon is going to be an image. So we got way more information than we actually needed, but now we can use the same repeating group. What we're going to do is, this is going to be Facebook pages, this is going to be Facebook pages, the admin. So this is the part for the constraints, and I wanted to show you the admin of this page equals the current user. So what that means is that it's only going to display the pages that the current user is the admin for those pages. No other page should be displayed there. So I'm going to come here, we're going to set this to 800 because this is a perfect circle right here, and this is going to be much smaller. And now this is going to be to the top, and now we need to change a few things. So Facebook pages, we just need to make sure that everything fits if you want to reuse elements. So this one is going to be the page name, and this one is not there. So actually what we can do is we can even delete this from here, and we're going to center everything. And now what we will do is we are going to create a Facebook page that the admin is current user. So we're going to grab the unique ID. So the admin, oh, it's actually email. So the admin is that. We want to grab a logo. Sherry. Now when we come here, you should see that pages and profiles. Ooh, there was an error there because we didn't change the page icon. So as you can see, we're going to reduce this to so we set it up to 8 to be a little bit closer. There is a gap here, so we're going to make this smaller because it doesn't need to be that big, like realistically. That's about right. Now this is going to be smaller again. Bring it together, make sure that it's looking much nicer. So here you have, folks. One more thing I would like to do. Oops, wrong. I'm going to grab this and add this twice because we're going to use it later on. So you have a divisor there. Now, that doesn't look nice. I personally don't like it. So if you click on the color, you can change the transparency. So we're going to set it up to 40%. Typically set it up to 40%. It looks much better. So if we go back to the page, we can see, I think that looks much better, to be honest with you. Now, this one on this side, they seem to go to the edge, so we're going to let them go to the edge. And similar, of course, there are certain items here that they have that we don't, but not too bad for a clone. I know there will be a few questions, so if you have any questions, please make sure you leave them down in the comments below. Make sure you share. Next week we're going to be talking about how to do the repeating group here for the feed, and also we're going to start talking about building workflows and making sure that everything is making sense. We're going to build some other pages, and I'm going to guide you through the process of making sure that you're getting the data that you need, sending the data that you need to other pages, and making sure that all that important stuff is added. Like I said, please subscribe to the channel, like and comment with your questions. Send this video to somebody that might need it. Even if they're not building a social media website, what you're learning here is going to be really important for your bubble development. And I will be more than happy to answer any questions. Please check out my templates. They are on the bubble repository. Societal Lab is a social media template. I also have on the bubble repository DirectSac, which is a directory template. Throw away WordPress. Check out DirectSac. Is much cheaper in the long run when you realize that you don't have to pay for many plugins. And lastly, we have some landing pages and templates that you can also use. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.